They will.
All right, there you go. Way to go. Thank you, past President Steve. It took a village to get this going. All right, we miss you. You need to come back. Tell her she needs to come back. All right, we're going to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. I'm going to step away from the microphone so they can't just hear me sing. We'd love to hear you sing. Here we go.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Thank you.
No, Joe, you remind me of the time my wife sent me out to the grocery store. And she sent me just for 2 items. And I don't remember what one of them, this was 20-something years ago, actually it's 30 years ago. The other one was sour cream, and I came back with the one item she wanted, and for the sour cream, I came back with sour cream and onion dip. For potato chips, which it was sour cream. I mean, that was one of the smartest moves I ever made. She did not send me to the grocery store for 30 years. The pledge, Drew McDonald.
And there's the flag. Ladies and gentlemen, please face the flag and hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, invocation, Andy Zirkle.
Everyone bow our heads, please. Lord, we ask that you guide and direct our club, its leaders, and our actions. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Rotary, to our community, and to our country. Bless our fellowship today and bless us through the nourishing of our body. Amen.
Thanks, Andy. Now, visitors and guests, I've got Ed Campbell.
Well, I was heading up there to get Well, we've got one, and I'm not sure I can read it. Looks like Daniel, maybe? Somebody. Oh, Martin Daniel, yes.
Yeah. Martin?
Martin.
Now, the only thing that's a little questionable about Martin, his guest he's of is Sam Carey. Now, you notice Sam's not even here today, but great to have you, Martin.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Janice, you want to mention mobile meals, and I think you had another announcement?
I just want to give you a brief overview about what happens with mobile meals, and hope that some of you, if you haven't signed up for mobile meals, I'd love for you to do that this summer. It's a very relaxed delivery. This summer we deliver salads. In the wintertime we usually have 2 coolers because we have hot and cold food. So we have cold milk and things like that, and then we have hot food. So we have 1 cooler that we're responsible for. I live out past Watt Road. So I left at 9:35 this morning, and I pulled up in the parking lot here at 11:47 a.m. Just keep in mind, that's because I live so far away. So our route is Sutherland, and about 2 blocks off Sutherland. We had today 13 members. We have 2 apartments that have 2 people each in them. And then I pulled up in front of one home, and it scared me to death because I thought it was only the second time I had delivered there, and there were all these cars, and there were people standing in the yard, and scared me to death because I thought, oh no, something major has happened. What is it going to be? It's a new client. I only know them. I've only visited once. And it turned out they were from Operation Backyard. Have any of you ever heard of that? I had never heard of that. And they were building ramps in the front yard. They were clearing off the front and the backyard. And the gentleman was so ecstatic about them being there. There were about 18 of them, men and women. They all had on tool belts. They were all sweating. They were all working. And that might be something that we get someone to come speak to us about as a program. I'll be sure and tell David, or maybe we'd like to get involved a little bit with them. There were young people and older people all working together, and I was pretty impressed. We have 2 of our people who have been in the hospital. 2 of our clients, Kelly and I kind of get personal with these people. One of them had a heart attack, and so she had been in the hospital. Another one had trouble breathing, and she's been in the hospital for about a month. So and hopefully they'll all be back on our route next week. But if you would like to sign up with Mobile Meals, Kelly, Ray, Monty, Bruce and I would love to have you come deliver with us. And this summer, Jean's gonna sit back in with me in the front seat, ride shotgun with me. So if you'd like to join up for Mobile Meals, let me know. Now the other thing is, this past weekend was our conference at Pigeon Forge in Dreammore Resort and Spa under the big white tent. And so the Rotary Club of Bearden received a couple of awards, and I'm going to pass these around to you to let you look at them, but this is what some of them were. And a couple of them were not, I think, Patty, you might need to check on one of them for us. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure we got everything we should have gotten. And I went and talked about it, and they said, so maybe you can get them to go, and you can fix it. All righty. So here we go. It's the 2022-23 District Governor Citation with Distinction. That's one of them. Another one is the William T. Sargent Polio Eradicator Award. That's on the other side. Then we also got the Rotary District 6780 Star Award. And you can read what it's about. We also get a star to go with it. It's supporting the Rotary Foundation and making it possible for Rotary programs and projects to continue globally every year. And then the one I'm not quite sure about, I think we need to get some more on this one, is the Youth Event Sponsor Award. I don't think we have all our little dots, because I think we do more than this. And I asked Rachel about that, and she said, well, I don't think y'all filled one out. I just did it for you. So, anyway. All right. I know, I'm not looking at you. All right. So thank you very much for taking the time to hear about Mobile Meals and about how well you did at District Conference. Thank you.
All right. Bruce Van Cleve is not here. I think school, we either did our last set of readers or this is the last one. I can't remember. We got one more week, but you're supposed to read today. Kelly, you want to mention the district training?
Sure. The district training for the incoming chair committees and board members is being held May 20th at Stone Memorial High School in Crossville.
Stone Memorial High School.
In Crossville. I've sent an email to my incoming board and chair committees. I've heard back from some of those. Hopefully we can carpool down with the ones who can attend. It starts at, registration is at 8, begins at 8:30, and we're supposed to be out of there by around noon. So, looking forward to that. I know Tom said last year you all carpooled and had a great time, so.
You were supposed to bring donuts, as I recall, Jim. Kelly's probably planning.
She probably will. If you told me to bring donuts, I would have. Just need instructions.
I'm bringing mimosas.
Or. Sour cream. Yeah.
Sour cream biscuits.
I really did do that, sour cream and onion dip, and it was the smartest thing I've ever done. We've got a social this Thursday, May 18th at Union Place Bar and Grill. It's just down in Bearden a little ways. Starts at 5:30. We'd love to have everybody there. We did this a few months ago, and I think I saw my phone, as my son points out, which is not necessarily accurate, but it's showing, last time I checked, supposed to be pretty nice for Thursday. So we hung out outside, and it was good. So I'd love to have as many people as we can. That's this Thursday at the Union Place Bar and Grill, 5:30 till probably 7:38, whenever everybody You can come whenever you want to and leave whenever you want to. Water Mission, they did their walk last Saturday. They raised $25,000. They did real well. It's a combination of us. We helped out. Farragut was one of the big sponsors, the Farragut Rotary Club. I think the breakfast helped a little bit, and they had a church. It's one of the Baptist church was a big backer, but that's for trying to set up water, clean water for these developing countries. Stream cleanup, I don't know if we have a sign up, but we really need 8 to 10, 12 people for Saturday, June 3rd. It's just around this stream, just right in front of us. We've been doing that every year, so we need to do it again this year. Won't take but a couple of hours, so we'd love to have you. I sent out a community award. We're trying to start something new. We need to get out and reach out to the businesses within 3 to 5 miles of here, and we need to do some marketing to try to get some new members and also just to get people to know about us. So I sent you a community award. We'd love if you've got somebody you think that would be a good candidate to fill it out for a business in this area. I think in July the group will get together and pick 1 or 2 that we'll nominate and then get them to come in here and give them the award. I think that's it. One more thing. I had this handed to me by Steve Chansey. This is the Neighbors of North Shore in the heart of Bearden. And it looks like they'll put eBay on the front. Advertise. But wanted to congratulate Ray Fishers on the front. So I know he's got a great local business, and I think they've talked about it in the generation. So congratulations, Ray. And then speaking of Ray, unless anybody else has got an announcement, I think Ray's going to announce our speaker. Thanks, Ray.
All righty. Well, it's my pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce y'all to the Executive Director of Mission of Hope now, David Heatherly. Met him through Emmett Smith when he was making his transition out, and couldn't have picked a better guy to lead and carry on the Mission of Hope and what they do. He's been a great guy, and good to get to know. A little bit about him. He's worked a little bit of everything. He was the extended service manager for Chip for 14 years. Operations manager at Sea Ray Boats for 5 years. Sales manager with Better Printing Company for 2 years. And area coordinator for Clayton Homes for 4 years. A little bit about him, education. He got his MBA from University of Louisville. Came to UT and studied finance. Of course, he's got a wife, Charity, and 4 lovely children. Great church guy. Heard a lot about just, his passion for, leading people and doing, this stuff with Mission of Hope, which is extremely important. My dad was big into it, so it's really, something special, and a special guy to lead it. One other quick little thing I found out, he's also a black belt, so we better make sure we treat him well today. But anyway, there's David Heatherly.
It's amazing what $20 will get you when you get it ahead of time. Thank you for that introduction, and I want to apologize to David. I don't know if he's here today, but he emailed me about 2 weeks ago wanting to know a little bio, and I waited till, of course, yesterday when I'm in the middle of Appalachia to send him one, and I think I sent him 4 bullet points, so thank you.
I just came up with this online.
I appreciate it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you all so much. I really appreciate the chance to be here. I'm going to attempt to stand behind this microphone at this podium, which normally I'm up walking around, so we'll see if the camera can keep me. Way back when, if some of y'all remember Bill Williams, he did a series called Hunger for Hope. This was way back in the 90s. I'm sure most of y'all don't remember that. But The interesting thing about that video series, he went up into Appalachia, he found some houses, he found some people who didn't have a lot of food. And by not a lot of food, when they interviewed them, the kids would say, well, what'd you have for dinner? And they'd say taters. And well, what'd you have the night before? Taters. What'd you have the night before? Taters. So he aired the video, right, back when we watched things on TV, which is amazing to think back. My kids had no idea. They get everything off Twitter or something else these days. But when he aired it, Julie Holland, down here at Central Baptist, said, I've got to go do something. She rounded up some volunteers from her church. She goes up to one of the little schools where she grew up, and they handed out toys for Christmas. She came back to Knoxville. She found Bill, and she goes, Bill? She goes, it was amazing. She goes, it felt like a mission of hope. So that formed the entity we have today, back in 1996. I think back to those days. I think back to that one school. I think back to Julie's heart to go after and do one thing as to where we are now. If you fast forward, since 1996, that one school over Christmas is now 29 elementary schools. Not only do we go for Christmas, but we begin at the beginning of the year with backpacks, which we're getting ready to start packing, paper, pencils, all of these different items that we go back to the school. We get a chance, guys, to go into the school system and to help these kids with just the basic needs that what we think are, what we would get our kids for a normal school year, right? Some backpacks, pencils, papers. But what it's really doing, it's first of all keeping the parents from having to buy those items. Right now where we go with food cost, a lot of our families aren't eating, or they have very little items. Secondly, it keeps the teachers from having to buy those kids' items. Because a lot of our teachers care so much, they're willing to spend their own money to buy a kid a pencil. Now, some of the great examples of coming out of that, out of those programs, and I'd love to share just a couple of stories because some of them, and I apologize if I tear up, bear with me. But we had a gentleman one time, as they're walking these kids through, right? They're walking the child down the line, he gets his backpack. He comes to the next station, and the gentleman said, okay, son, go ahead and pick out a pencil, right? And the kid stops and just looks. Now think about a table. There's pencils everywhere, brand new pencils. And the kid's looking, and he turns to the gentleman and he goes, where's the pencils? And the guy goes, they're here. There's 5 different options right here. And the kid reaches over, he picks one up, and it's got a flat top on it. He said, I didn't realize they had a flat top on it. He never had a new pencil. Ever. So he keeps walking through. He gets his paper, he gets his hygiene, and he's walking on through. They get to where we hand him a toothbrush and some soap and shampoo at the end of the line. The kid looked at him and said, do I get to keep the toothbrush? Because he hadn't had a toothbrush. That's since 1996. Guys, we, the Mission of Hope, we are intent on helping solve part of the poverty issue in 2 different ways. And the first of which is through the schools, like we just began, right? Not only do we go back at the beginning of the year, we get a chance to come back at Christmas. Now here's where it gets exciting. Think about all these kids sitting in a cafeteria, school, large schools in the gyms. We've got tables covered up, right? So we've got black tarp all over these tables and so forth. And we get to go in and we tell them about Christmas, right? Real meaning of Christmas. We go in, we do that. And then we start a countdown. We go 10, 9. The little kids don't catch on, but the older kids, they know what's going on, so they start counting with us. When you get down to 0, they rip the tarps off, right? And all these toys are there. The little kids are going crazy. The bigger kids are excited. But they get a chance, guys, to actually have a Christmas. And what I mean by that, let me tell you a few stories that really drive this part home. They'll come down as a group and walk with one of our members. They'll pick out 2 toys. These are brand new toys. These aren't used, right? They'll go through the line. They'll also get, once again, toothbrush, soap, shampoo as a part of this. They'll get a Bible and a little storybook that we provide them. And then they get a chance to go sit down. You and I, just a normal piece. My kids, if they only got 2 toys for Christmas, would be going nuts, right? Okay, let's hang on to that and think about that, guys. Some of the best stories that come from Christmas, just to let you know kind of what we do. So there was a gentleman who, they were using the bathroom. I don't know how else to say it, okay? But one of the young kids comes in and is sitting there watching them. They get through and they turn around and they go, "Are you okay, son? Can we get you something?" He goes, "Do you happen to have any more fishing poles?" Now, this is back when we only took a few fishing poles, right? Because it wasn't big enough. And they go, "No, son, we don't have any more. We'll try to bring some next." Well, about that time, the kid turns and starts walking off, right? He's crying. So this gentleman runs the kid down and says, "Son, are you okay? We can get you another toy. You know, we can get another toy." And he goes, "No," he goes, "My dad always said he'd take me fishing if I was able to get a fishing pole." From that very moment, needless to say, now we have about 2,000 fishing poles that hit the door every year from different random groups. So we don't need fishing poles. I don't say that to say that. But what I do say is to say, guys, a lot of what we do at Christmas and where we go, it's their Christmas, right? Another story from Lexington. So we're up in Lexington doing a show, talking to the delivery teams there. The guy goes, "David, I need to ask you a question. How do you do this?" And I said, "Okay, go ahead." He said, "How do I convince the people in Lexington that the kid I was walking through the line wanted a toothbrush more than they did the toys?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, he got the toys, he was excited, he walks all the way down the line, and when he picked up the toothbrush, he looked at it and he started crying because he got a toothbrush. A toothbrush. That's the second time that's happened. Once back to school and then here. What we failed to realize early on is just how important a toothbrush is. You got the little girls who are coming through when they get the shampoo. They say, "Hey, this is great. Now my mom has a chance she can wash her hair." We don't even think about those things, right? We don't even think about that. There's the stories of when the bus is coming down off the hill or our box trucks, that the kids are pressed up against the glass when they see us coming, right? They get to see us. There's story after story, guys, about Christmas, which makes it exciting for not only me, but the groups that get together. But that's all well and good. But here's where it gets really important. All of that from K through 6 is setting them up every year to understand that somebody cares about them. Their parents may not be in their life. Somebody else may be raising them, right? We're in there telling them individually that we love them, that people love them, Jesus loves them, and that we're coming back again next year to help them out. So we're building hope in their life. Because when they get to 6th grade, then we start really pressing the high school graduation. Guys, one area that we go where we're trying to get into right now in Southeast Kentucky, 64% high school graduation rate. You just don't see that. So we press in. We press in to tell them there's hope, that they can graduate, when they do, there's more. 6th grade, we make them sign a pledge to graduate. It's framed, it's posted in the wall of the school, and if you go back, you can see it. And the intention is, as all those kids start coming through, they're going to see the groups in front of them. They're going to see the kids that have committed. We want to continue to build hope and the idea that they can succeed. But here's where it gets good and what I've been doing for the past few weeks, as well as my buddy Henry. Every year, there's 29 elementary schools feed 13 high schools. Mission Hope goes and gives a 4-year scholarship to one kid at those high schools. We give them a 4-year scholarship, we give them all the technology they're going to use, and more importantly is, just like we've been talking to them for the past years of their life in the elementary, we assign a mentor to their life. This mentor is there to counteract a lot of what they're hearing at home, right? We don't go after the 4.0 student at these high schools. We go after like the young lady who's going to graduate, she's going to be a nurse now. Both of her parents were gone by 16. She lived, quote unquote, with her grandma, which she raised, and her 2 siblings. She worked full time. She didn't have a 4.0 in high school, right? She's not too good of an ACT. We heard the story, we heard the passion. Now she's going on and she's getting ready to be an RN. She's changed the trajectory of her future. That mentor is critical. And that's the difference between our scholarship versus others, is we have someone speaking into their life, continuing that idea of hope that we installed as they were in kindergarten all the way up to 6th grade. Since inception, we've had 191 kids go through the program. 81 of those kids have graduated today. We just gave away 16, well, we'll finish up the next couple of weeks handing out 16 scholarships to new kids. And we'll have 56 kids on scholarship starting in the fall. Side note, if we've got anybody in here who wants to be a mentor, let me know. We're looking for mentors right now, especially women. I'm not pointing you out or something, I'm just saying. but in all seriousness, this is a really big deal. You think about it, 191 kids, we've had 81 kids graduate, and our kids aren't the 4.0 students. That's a really good percentage for the kids we're dealing with. The kids that are being told, you can't do this, why are you getting above your raisins, etc. Now, the rest of the year, we'll talk about how we're trying to change trajectory. And one of the things I want to leave you with, and probably not the craziest story I've dealt with this week, but remind me to make sure I hit this, is I talked to an ex-KKK leader who is now over at transitional housing. So remind me if I don't bring this up. But the rest of the year, we work with 53 different nonprofits, churches, that are located from Northeast Tennessee all the way into Southwest Virginia. We don't do anything in town. If you look at the Appalachian Regional Commission, which is based out of Washington, D.C., what they do is they rank every county in what they consider Appalachia, which is Maine to Mississippi. It's a big region. They rank it, and we only go to the areas that are considered the bottom 10% of the U.S. average. And if you look at it, it's old coal country, right? It's Northeast Tennessee, think Campbell, Scott, Claiborne, Morgan, Cocke County, most of Southeast Kentucky, and Southwest Virginia. We're not into West Virginia yet. We don't have the established relationships. But what we do is we work through these nonprofits. And we'll take them, any donated item, anything we can buy, food, clothing, furniture. Man, we've had a myriad of stuff that have come through the door that they can use. And what we do is we resource that group of people because they can help their area. Mission of Hope, we can't plant a flag in every hill and hollow in the middle of the mountains. We just can't. We'd be awful at it. But the people that live there can. And so we go up to Inez, Kentucky, and there's a little tiny church. It's probably about the size of this building here, this where we're in. And what we do is we have to go up on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll fill it full. Clothing, food, imagine just this whole place filled with just donated items, toys, everything. But the reason we have to get up there on Monday and Tuesday is because it gives people enough time in the area to come clean them out before Sunday service. And that's where they have their church. So we make sure. And those are the type of locations, the type of groups that we're working with on a weekly basis to send into. We'll start, pause here and just talk about it. We had a very interesting conversation. And people are always asking me, David, how's Mission of Hope changing? Well, we can point to the scholarships right now. There's a group in an area we go. There's a gentleman there who grew up. His father was one of the leaders of the KKK in Indiana for the most random part. I don't know why. He was considered the enforcer of the area, and this young man grew up in there. By the age of 22, he'd been in and out of jail, met a girl. She changed his life. He was he left that group. He was almost beaten to death on the way out of town. He got addicted to meth. I'm trying to make sure I've got his whole story. But at the age of 25, he found Christ. So think about it, this guy's seen it all. He currently is working in an abandoned building in a downtown of one of the small towns we go, okay? And I'm sure if code enforcement walked in, they'd probably shut him down. He's got 40 men in this area on bunk beds. He runs a year-long program to transition those men from going to jail to out on their own. Part of it is they have to completely be able to be drug tested every week to be clean. If they have child support or anything they owe, they work to get that paid up. He provides them jobs as soon as they come to him. There are 7 different companies in the area that provide them jobs, and he works. I went and talked to the sheriff about him because I didn't know if I believed him. The sheriff said the court sponsors his program, and he's working. He's been at it for 2.5 years. They've only had 6 of the guys actually come back into the court system. The rest have moved on. This gentleman here, the only thing he asks of us is clothing, shoes, things for the guys. He's not even asking for money from us. But we help him out and continue the advancement of what he's attempting to do. That's just one of the little things, one of the little stories that we could go into if we had more time about what do we do each and every day outside of Christmas, back to school, and scholarship. And lastly, guys, I'll leave you with this, and it'll give us a few minutes here for questions, conversation. We have a construction portion of Mission of Hope. If you guys like to build, when I first found out about it, I was like, why does a ramp? And what does it mean? Right? But what we're finding out is people can't get out of their houses. We built a ramp for a gentleman the other day. He had been in his house for 18 months, could not get out. If he wanted to get out, he had to call his neighbors. They had to physically pick him up in his wheelchair to set him on the ground so he could meet people and go. That ramp program is, to your point, backyard, is that the group? It's amazing, the letters we receive on changing the individual lives. And one of the best stories about the ramp build and kind of what we do, right? So we get random requests. We'll send someone there, they'll scope it out, we'll make sure we get the material, we'll come back, we'll get volunteers and go. They were building a ramp, and all of a sudden they heard this screaming, because they were down in a cul-de-sac. This lady just screaming. Everybody's looking around. They look up, and this lady's running down the road screaming, help me, help me, help me. Well, it just so happens 2 of our guys were, let's just say they were first aid certified. So they go up to her, and she goes, my husband's dying. They run to the house. The 2 guys are there resuscitating the gentleman, while another one of our guys has to run to the road because they have no idea where they are, right? They don't know the address. They're on the phone with 911 saying we're at the road. Here's the main road. They were able to flag down the ambulance. The ambulance comes out and saves the guy, takes him out. Hey, great story. But here's the part that gets really weird. When they talked to the lady as to why she did it, she said, somebody told me to run outside and get help. So not only are we building ramps, but it's amazing what happened in some of the places we go. So guys, we're 20 minutes into a 30-minute speech, so what I want to do is just leave a few moments for questions. If nothing's answered, I can fill some additional time. But this has been an amazing 9 months for me. My buddy in it, he told me I would see some things, hear some things, but it is amazing as to what's going on with Mission Hope and in the areas we go. Yes, sir.
Where does the bulk of your funding come from?
individual donors. We have some ministry partners through churches and so forth in the area, but the vast majority comes from individual donations. We get very few grants. We're a faith-based entity, so it doesn't, we're not eligible for a lot of that money that's out there. Yes, sir.
What is the biggest thing you need to help? I mean, and second thing is, do you have cards for a person? Yeah.
Yeah, we've got more information there. So here's the, does everybody remember the Blue Barrel Drive a long time ago? Yeah, I guess. The Blue Barrel used to be all over town, right? The vast majority of our donations, let's say toys especially, clothing, would come in through that big drive, right? Well, that's not the case at this point. So we've got to acquire a minimum of 22,000 toys, 12,000 backpacks plus supplies, and brand new clothing for 7,000 kids. Anything that you can do monetarily would help that tremendously, because right now we can buy at discounts. And so I hate to say money, but at this point, that's our biggest need, because we can buy in bulk and discounts now because of the volume we utilize, and it would help out tremendously. Yep. Guys, what else? I'll fill some time. Yes.
Is Coach for the Cold part of your program too?
No, we're not tied in with Coach for the Colts.
What about the Christmas barrels?
Yes, 100%.
Toys for Todd?
Ray's got, not Toys for Todd. We still have the Blue Barrels around town. He keeps at Fisher Tire, where we drag in some toys as well. Yes.
One other thing about the Blue Barrels, and she's going to be the next president, mentioned, doing it here, and I mean, during that period, I mean, I could talk to the Farragut store, the non store, and I mean, get one of those barrels put in every one of our meetings, and I couldn't imagine it not, making a difference, along with, Fisher Tire and, the other places that we have them, because that's what we're here for, and I mean, people see it and have it there where they can, either scan and money or, bring in stuff. When you're ready, I can give you the addresses to drop them all off at, and you have to help.
Well, we'll drop them off. But 22,000 toys is kind of where we're thinking our kids, the number of our kids will be, because they all get 2 new toys. That's kind of where we'll be with that process. Yes?
The Blue Barrels, is there a list put up every year of where they're located?
On our website.
Okay.
But if you'll go to Fisher Tire, I know he's got it.
But, yeah, I go over there anyway. So, but one of the things that we did as our family, I didn't realize we started this about the same time you guys did, because the Blue Barrels were there. With our kids, we turned it into a family thing. We would go get a toy and tell the kids, go pick out 2 toys. We're talking 5 and 6 year olds, and we take them up to the cash register and say, pick whatever you want, and we're going to give them away. And then we go to Chick-fil-A. We use the Blue Barrels there. We still do that. They're now 33 and 27. So the Blue Barrel stuff really works, and you can really make it, aside from the money part, but you can really make it with grandkids. I got a granddaughter now. We can still continue that thing along to help those things. So
it's amazing to be able to give something to someone you'll never meet.
yeah, I mean, as you guys knew, and we heard the needs, they did too. All of a sudden it was clothes and hygiene products, whatever our daughter picked out, what she would like, knowing she'd help some little girl or some girl somewhere. So
That's wonderful. Thank you.
stuff we can do.
Hey, just curious on the scholarship, about monetarily, what does that equate to for those students?
We look at it holistically. Think about all the money our kids can get, right? So we'll give, it's about $3,000 a year, laptop as well, all the technology they need. And so especially in Tennessee, if they take advantage of the 2-year free, right? They can get out debt-free with most of them. If they go to Kentucky schools, there's still some debt there at the end. We're not quite funded completely at this point with the scholarship to be able to go full scholarship, but we have enough connections with Alice Lloyd Berea, some of those schools where they can go free, where the money we provide helps them with clothing, cars, travel back and forth, some stuff like that. So, but yeah, we would love to get to the point where we could be this supplement for our kids so they were debt-free when they left, right? We don't give them a $3,000 a year scholarship. We figure out the totality of what they are and what they owe, and then we come in and supplement that. Could be more, could be less. It'd be wonderful. Yes, sir.
Seems like with 12,000 backpacks and 20,000 toys and all that, where do you get all the manpower to pack this stuff together and deliver it and all of that?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. During the week, okay, so to drive the box trucks to do what we do, we've got about 30 different volunteers that help answer the phone, help pack trucks, drive. For Christmas, just that program alone, we need over 500 volunteers. Just for that. Back to school is not quite as much. Due to it's a little more subdued, right? We're not packing a lot, we're just packing bulk and shipping to the schools and having the teams meet us there. There's a whole lot more with Christmas. And I don't even think I touched on the fact we give, kids brand new clothing, shoes, socks, pants, jackets. But we have volunteers that come pick that out. So the best thing we can do is, and it's amazing how God supplies our needs, right? People show up, people call. Man, when it gets close to Christmas, phone calls are coming in. And plus we've got a list, there's probably 800 people on it that have volunteered at some point we can reach out. Yeah, you can go to the website or email info@missionhub.org and find out. We'll find you a place. If you want to drive, pack, whatever, put some food in a box, I can hook you up. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a question, yeah.
Yeah, so. Yes, sir.
I think you said you're using ARC's list of schools and you fund the lowest 10% of those, or are you saying these counties, all the schools in those counties are in that program?
Everywhere we go is considered in the bottom 10% on average for the United States. So that's all the counties we go through with our nonprofits, et cetera.
But like we go to these counties, like Cobb County, I think you said, you do every elementary school in Cobb County?
We do every elementary that's 95% or higher in free lunches. We're limited, right, mainly on the idea of finding teams to go to the schools to do our program. So right now we're at 29, we could be in 80. I mean, Southeast Kentucky is it's almost every school right now. Guys, what else?
One
Yes,
last, I do have one last question. On the ramps for
Yes.
the elderly people, my parents, I went through that with my parents, I had to build them. And if the Rotary doesn't get involved with something, that's definitely something I would like to get involved with you guys. I think that is a super, super great program.
They eat a lot of Shoney's buffet and then travel. So just giving you a heads up if that's a problem. But yeah, they would love to. info@missionhope.org. They'll take care of you. Guys, anything else before I go? I've got info on the back table if you want some. Thank you so much. I apologize if I missed something, but it's just an amazing organization.
Don't get off that easy.
I'll call you back.
We still make you work a little bit. We give a book each week to Pond Gap, and we have the speaker sign it, and I get in trouble if I don't say the name, which I've done a couple times. This one is Night Owl, but it's not spelled, it's spelled with a K, so it's Night Owl, and it's got an owl. So you'll sign there. But the K is signed. Yeah, the K. And then just a token of your, just right there, yeah. And then token of our thanks. That was great. We appreciate it. All right, thank you. Hey, we appreciate all you do. Now, what Ray left off, because Dave Bloom sent me the little bio, and David didn't mention that he has questionable judgment. One of the items here says that he would take a perfectly good airplane and jump out of it. Said he jumped out of an airplane at 12,000 feet. So,
Parachute.
it was in a parachute. So, it was there. Well, so that's good. If somebody dares you to do something, you'll do it no matter what. Hey, I appreciate everybody here. I really want to thank Martin Daniels showing up again. It's great to have you as a guest this second time. We appreciate that. Sorry Sam couldn't be here, he's goofing off. Any other announcements? Next week, we've got Ray Smith, Oak Ridge historian. I think we've had him before, it's usually pretty interesting. Smokey, right there. Tony, you want to do the four-way test?
Sure. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
All right.